What's up, everybody? Well, that's interesting. Really, just already a mess up off the bat. Blinker on. Just a rough start, really. But what is up, everybody? Welcome back to On the Brick Road again. I'm your host, Kyle, and today we got an interesting topic that I'm kind of just made up on the fly. I'm already kind of like on my way to work right now. Kind of already done some driving, so maybe it's a bit weird starting in the middle. And I'm really tired because it's our training season right now, so we're doing a lot of training, a lot of stuff. But anyways, disregard that. You don't need to know about that. I need to know about that. What you need to know, though, is our topic today. And our topic is going to be on Imperial vehicles or sets or minifigures that are maybe a bit obscure, but are something to consider adding to your collection to spice up your Imperial army. And these are things, some of them I have, some of them I don't have. But I just kind of wanted to go over them and discuss them and kind of give you a bit of a show, if you will, to maybe some sets you want to buy just to really have a more diverse Imperial army. Now, the first one up is going to be the AT Hauler. This set originally came from the Solo line, and it came with no Imperials, but it is an Imperial ship. And this Imperial ship was designed in the show, and its purpose was to haul ATs, different types of ATs. It could haul AT-ATs, but it could also haul AT-STs, I think also AT-DPs. And AT-DPs, speaking of, hint, 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 nudge, 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 that's going to come into play. But anyways, so it's a pretty unique, interesting ship. And overall, I think it's a very cool looking ship. I think it's fantastic. I think a lot of people don't have it in their Imperial army because they look at it and they think like, oh, well, it's like a Solo set and it has a whole bunch of Solo people and it doesn't have any Imperials. But it technically is an Imperial ship. And it actually works with the, is it Conveyor X transport set? The Imperial train set. It works well with that. It can lift up the cargo on that, so that's pretty cool, pretty unique. And just overall, a pretty cool set, kind of flying under the radar. Now, unfortunately, though, there isn't any ATs that it can attach to and haul, which is really a shame because, it's an AT hauler. You think they would have designed it so it could move like an AT or ATST or something, but unfortunately, it cannot. So that is rather disappointing, rather sad, but it is what it is, right? Yeah, you don't always win them. Now, that being said, though, if you did buy the set, you would have to get some Imperials to stock it, so if you have them, or you can use them, or maybe you have to go to the aftermarket, find something like an Imperial pilot, and maybe just some stormtroopers that can also be on the little catwalk that is at the bottom of the ship, which is a very cool part of it. Moving on, though, I kind of already alluded to this one. It's the AT-DP. I think most people think of Imperial walkers and they want to jump to the AT-ST, whether it is the indoor or Hoth versions. Hoth version's a bit newer, and I feel like people are kind of talking about that more because it feels like an AT-ST. It still is an AT-ST. It's just a little different. But then you have the AT-DP that came out as part of the Rebels kind of cycle. And honestly, this is a pretty cool looking set. I think it's a good design. I think it has bits of yellow on it that really make it pop. And overall, just a very interesting, cool ship. I think it's really well done. Or a walker, I should say, not ship. And it can really spice up, your Imperial base, maybe. It just looks a bit different than, ATST. So ATST feels almost a bit more rugged, like it should be out in the wild, while AT-DP feels more industrial, like it belongs at a base or in a city, perhaps. And so I just think overall, great set that maybe gets a little forgotten about just because of the the fact that it came out a while ago and it came out from Rebels, and not all the Rebel sets were the most well received, I think. But this one, pretty good, pretty solid set. Definitely think it should be included. I should also mention, I don't have either of the sets that I have mentioned thus far. Like, I'm just totally talking about them. Do not have them. But from what I've seen about them, this is kind of my impression. Both of them, I think, would be great sets to have one day. Now, we also go into a very, very old set, I would say, or a fairly old set. And that's the Imperial V-Wing. This is a set that has flown under the radar. Ha ha ha. Flown under the radar. Get it? Because it flies. But it really has. And I think that's because it's at that stage where it's so old, most people are like, oh, well, that's too old to be, like, getting in this point. I don't want to add that to the collection. But honestly, just what a good-looking set. And it's so unique to have this Imperial ship that is clearly linked to the Clone Wars. And I think it's a great set to have to just include. I think it really has some added value with the Bad Batch kind of showing the V-Wing off some. It just increases the desire for it. Cool set. I think you would probably want to add a modern pilot in it. Personally, if I was going to buy this set, I would just buy a new Imperial pilot to put in there. Because I wouldn't want to use that old one just because it is extremely outdated. And I think it would really need a upgrade. The aspect droid, though, you could probably keep around. That's acceptable. That's passable, I think. But yeah, pretty unique, pretty cool, something to consider. Up next is the Imperial Transport ship. I believe it's called Imperial Transport ship. Or maybe it's Imperial... Yeah, I think it's Imperial Transport ship. Anyways, if you have seen the Imperial... it's an Imperial landing craft. That's what this is. Imperial landing craft. The Imperial shuttle gets all the hype. Shuttle Tardarian... Shuttle Tyranium. It's this seems this like, oh, it's this ship that the rebels use to sneak on Endor. It's the ship that officers and the Emperor use to fly around. Like, it gets a lot of hype. But then the landing shuttle, which looks very similar, it's white. It has the three triangle shape, like three wings that make a triangle when they fold out. But it's used for transporting like units, like a military group. It flies under the radar. And LEGO's actually made two of them. The modern one is kind of expensive now, if you look to buy it, but really cool, honestly. A really unique set, I would say, and something that is just very desirable, I think. And it really can, kind of be put on any planet. It can be used for any scenario. And just add some spice of being like, oh, look, this shuttle landed here. Maybe I have like a unit of stormtroopers that are walking out of it. Like, it just is cool. I don't think it works out well. Now, also going to go into another Rebel set. Kind of skipping around, but this is the Gazanti class frigate. I believe it's a frigate. Or Gazanti class. I think it's a frigate. And the reason that I put this one in this little category of being like, oh, it's so underrated, it's because, once again, it is from Rebels, but also I feel like people get so distracted by Star Destroyers. It's like, oh, I want a Lego Star Destroyer. That's what I want. I want a Lego Star Destroyer. Make it look unique and cool. Or even when the light cruiser came out from The Mandalorian, people were pretty hyped about that. But you still need smaller ships. You still need frigates in your navy. I think it's very easy to get distracted and be like, oh, I want all these cool big vessels. But like, you need some frigates. Frigates make up a good chunk of like naval units, and I think the Gazanti class cruiser really fits the bill on this as being this kind of medium-sized ship. It's not a starfighter, but it's not a full-on like capital ship. It's in the middle, and I think that fits the role well. It's pretty cool that it comes with a unique Imperial droid. It comes with an Imperial officer, which is nice. 2 pilots, so like you're getting a decent little army here, a decent group of troops, and I think that's really nice to see. Now, is it the most? Oh, and you also there's Ancient Callus in that set as well. So look, there's another reason to buy. Now this set obviously, you could say it does have maybe some faults in that I believe it was overpriced when it came out. Don't quote me on that. But overall, great set. I think it looks pretty nice. I still feel like it feels like Star Wars. I don't know. There's some for people to consider, I think. And those are really the main sets that I thought of as I was pondering this video, which I was pondering half of it in the middle of making it, or this podcast episode, not video. There's no face. You guys aren't seeing my face. You aren't seeing pictures of the sets, but you get to use your imagination, and you get to use that muscle in your brain to imagine these sets and to imagine me and how I look, how dashing and handsome I am. Obviously, I'm totally 6'4", guys. I promise. And I'm driving in my Ferrari right now to my job as a professional watermelon reviewer, where I only work once a week and I make lavish amounts of money. Clearly, I don't know why this is the fake reality that I'm making around myself, because it sounds pretty awful. But just imagine if it was. But yeah, so let's go into some of the minifigures. And we'll talk about kind of the minifigures that are maybe a bit more exclusive, something to consider getting. First up is going to be Inferno Squad. There's a whole battle pack that came out with the Inferno Squad group, and what a cool unit. They look super cool. They had built up weapons. It had a very cool little speeder that it came with, honestly, the battle pack. And just something that I feel like, it would be easy to kind of let go under the radar and not to get, because it's oh, well, I didn't play the game, I don't want this. But dude, you don't need to play the game. It's just cool. So that's definitely something I think is very cool, very unique. I think something to definitely check out. Now, when it comes to Imperial officers, I think a lot of Imperial officers can fly under the radar, because it's so easy just to be oh, well, I have, this Imperial officer, I don't need anymore. But a couple of highlights I want to mention. Kind of the most common officer I have noticed in Star Wars is the Imperial Captain. And the Imperial Captain has 3 red, little squares, and I think it's over 3 blue, or maybe it's 3 blue over 3 red. So 6 squares in total in a 2x3 grid. And there's only one set that this guy came in gray uniform form, and that is the 2014 Star Destroyer. I think he's kind of flown under the radar. A lot of people that didn't get that set probably don't have him, but he's such a common and bread and butter officer. You should maybe consider getting him. Now, you can get the Rebels version of this officer. He also has the same exact rank plate, but he is tan, in a tan uniform, which is a really cool officer, I think. I remember when Rebels was coming out, the sets, I was still very much kind of new to Star Wars, and or not new to Star Wars, I should say. What am I saying? I was new to Rebels. I wasn't watching it. I didn't have any kind of platform to watch it, so I was just kind of seeing some YouTube stuff. But the sets came out, and I saw that the officers were in tan, and I absolutely fell in love with them. I thought that the dark tan khaki uniforms just look so cool. Now, I didn't want all of my guys to be in that uniform, but I definitely looked at them and I was oh my gosh, this is really cool. I really like this. And so I think it's a very cool, unique guy to add to your collection. And if you miss the hype, maybe you should go back and order one, it's definitely worth it, I would say. Now, what you do with the tan officers, up to you. Personally, I now use them as medical officers, just because they look so different from all my other officers. I feel I'm oh yeah, I don't want to just put them in on my shelf. So I don't know. That's just what I use in my mocks and stuff, or my setup on my shelf, which I guess is kind of Another thing, you'll see a common theme here. A lot of this is coming from Rebels because I feel like we got some unique stuff. But we got the Rebels Stormtrooper polybag. It was a Stormtrooper Sergeant. And hey, you know what? That's just cool. Only time we've gotten a Stormtrooper Sergeant, excluding a Sand Trooper Sergeant, which I feel like almost doesn't count. So that's just a cool, unique ranking, and if you really wanted to, you could just take that pauldron and put it on a normal Stormtrooper, not a Rebel Stormtrooper, and then, ta-da, you have, like, a more normal Stormtrooper Sergeant. Cool option. I also think the Imperial Shock Troopers have kind of gone under the radar, not because people don't know about them. Everyone knows about them, I'm quite sure, but, like, they're kind of a cool thing to build up and to have like a unit of them, not just have like one guy. And I don't think people have really done that. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's just something I wanted to throw out there. I think it's pretty cool. I think the Imperial Gunner minifigure that has kind of the cold, wet weather uniform, the one that came in the Converex train from Solo, under the radar. Such a unique dude, like, that you can really just, you can add him in a mock or something and spice it up. It doesn't have to be a plain gunner. It can be this guy that looks a bit more grisly, look like he's been out in the elements, you know. He's a bit more experienced, not, you know, fresh out of training. And, you know, and that isn't going to work for every situation. Like, you don't want to put that guy in, like, the Death Star on a gunner, on a gun position, but maybe somewhere else. And that's kind of some of the main ones that I'm just thinking of. I'm sure there's more Imperial minifigures that are like just so cool and, you know, just so obscure. You know, you should totally get them. Maybe a couple of droids are out there that you might want to get. But those are kind of the main ones that came to mind for me when I was thinking about this. Oh, wait, also the Imperial transport pilot that came in Darth Vader's castle. Super rare and hard to get, and he doesn't even come with a vehicle, but, like, if you buy that guy, there's a really cool pilot that you can put in a vehicle. And there's lots of Imperial vehicles that don't have pilots. Like, there's tons of them that come out. So, buy a vehicle, like, how I did, I bought the Marauder, Imperial Marauder set, and I ended up putting him as the pilot of the Imperial Marauder set. And that seemed to work out pretty well. So that's just something you can do, something to consider, something to think about, ponder, if you will. But yeah. I'm trying to think if I'm forgetting anything else here. I think that's really all I wanted to talk about with sets of minifigures. But now I want to go into something that is kind of to counter this almost, which seems ridiculous, that I'm like, oh, here's all these cool, unique sets of minifigures, but also maybe, hey, be careful buying all these unique sets of minifigures. And let me explain why. You see, I think it's possible to oversaturate a collection. If you are army building, that is. If you just collect because you want one of everything, then go right ahead. But if you collect like me because you kind of army build, you can kind of almost mess up the structure of your army. And I think I kind of have done this, and I've tried to, like, backtrack. But, like, I have so many different unique units. Like, I have Shadow Troopers, I have Shock Troopers, I have Inferno Squad, I have Sand Troopers, I have the Shore Troopers, I'm trying to think of something else that's out there. I have the Jetpack Troopers. I have Army Troopers. I have Mimban Stormtroopers. Like, all these different units that it oversaturates my actual plain Stormtrooper army. Like, there shouldn't be more unique and special combined. There shouldn't be more unique special units than there are regular, like, ground-based troops. And I kind of, like, messed up on that. So I kind of have been like, oh, I need to, like, get some more normal stormtroopers and kind of, like, diversify. Same thing with ships. I was buying a whole bunch of different ships, and I realized, I'm like, man, the TIE Fighter is just, like, falling behind. So I was like, man, I gotta like influx some TIE fighters, just plain TIE fighters. So I ended up getting like 2 plain ones, tiny ones, just to kind of like sit there and be like, okay, I now have 2 plain TIE fighters that, you know, are the basic bread and butter. So now it's okay in my mind if I get a more unique special ship like a TIE bomber, or, you know, I bought the TIE bomber. I have not bought like anything else, but like you know, if I got a TIE Advanced or something, or TIE Striker. But yeah, so anyways, I just think it's, you know, kind of imperative that you do that. Same thing, like I have a Marauder set, and I'm trying to get a second Marauder, just so I have more of this like bread and butter type vehicle. Same thing with speeder bikes. It's like, okay, I have some speeder bikes, but I want to try and get some more speeder bikes because, you know, I want to have like the simple bread and butter stuff again. But yeah, so that's just kind of my little rant in there, my little 2 cents, if you will. Kind of talking about unique stuff and how it's cool and how you should consider getting it. But in my opinion, and this is just my opinion, I think it's good to not go overboard on the super unique stuff and to still have a fair amount of bread and butter type minifigures, you know, your army, but also your ships. My humble opinion. But yeah, that is the rant, though. That's what I got. And I'm getting close to work, so I guess I better bounce. I better go. I better fly away. But yeah, I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Stay positive out there. It's a wild, wild world, but hey, you're gonna rock it and sock it, you know, power through. And I'll be catching y'all in the next old podcast. This has been On the Brick Road again. Signing off. Peace.